Welcome to South Dundas regular council meeting with its team and staff team for Wednesday, October the 11th, 2023. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Let it be resolved that the October 11th council meeting of the municipality of South Dundas now be opened at 6 p.m. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Confirmation of agenda. Any additions, deletions, or amendments? I would like to add under discussion items 10, just an update on a couple of our notices of motions. Any other? Councillor Clerk LeBron, sorry.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Broad. We will also be pulling the To Be Festival Committee delegation. They're going to come at another time in the future.
To Be Festival Committee will come at a future date, so 5B we will defer to a future meeting. Thank you very much. Any other additions, deletions, amendments? I have a motion. Be resolved that the Council of the Municipality of South Dundas approve the amended agenda. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Item number 3, disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Seeing none tonight, we'll move to item 4, adoption of minutes of the September 25th meeting. Error, omissions, or changes to those minutes. I have one under 8E. To complete the sentence, Deputy Mayor St. Pierre asked Councillor Vino that we could tag the design with the Iroquois and Morrisburg on the tree planting. So that was the sentence that was omitted from the minutes. Any other amendments? Let it be resolved that the minutes of the following meeting, including closed, be circulated as amended. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we're going to move into delegations. So under 5A, we have the South Nation Conservation Authority with us tonight and talk proposed municipal agreement. We have Rhonda Bounce and Carl Bickerdike with us tonight. Welcome, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us. How close to the mic do you need us for the... We're good? Okay, super. I'm the CAO at South Nation Conservation. Thank you for having us and spending a little time with us tonight. This is Rhonda Bouts, who is the Secretary Treasurer. And I just wanted to acknowledge one of our volunteers in the audience over here. Long-time volunteer, committee member Cindy Saucier, who was also previous councillor in Russell Municipality, and I believe resident in South Dundas now. Is that right? Okay. Thanks for coming to kind of show some support tonight. We're here firstly because the province changed the laws that govern conservation authorities a couple of years ago and have made us do a bunch of things to outline and divide our services. So we need to ask for an agreement to be signed. So that's the main reason. But we also wanted to tell you about what we're doing for you under that agreement and kind of show our value for the municipality. So I'm going to jump into the slide. Just a quick overview if you're not sure what a conservation authority is. Luckily for you guys, you only have to deal with one CA, but some of our municipalities have 2 CAs or even 3 conservation authorities. We're one of 36 across Ontario. We have 16 member municipalities, including the City of Ottawa, large jurisdiction of almost 5,000 square kilometers, and a population of approximately 200,000. Very diverse, going from rural to urban to everything in between. As I mentioned before, the province changed the rules that govern us a couple of years ago, and this is one of the final hoops that we're jumping through to comply with the new changes. They basically said that we have to split our services and programs into 3 types. We've got Category 1, which are mandatory, Category 2, which are by agreement with a municipality, and Category 3, which are watershed-wide services and programs. And basically we need to sign an agreement outlining how much of our municipal levy we want to spend on those Category 3 agreements if we want to keep providing them at a watershed-wide scale. With that, I'm going to pass you over to Rhonda Bouts, who is, she's basically come up with the plan of how we're going to do this, and she's been heavily involved in a bunch of what is now called Category 3 programming over the last number of years.
Thanks, Carl. So really what we're talking about tonight are our private landowner stewardship programs, which are a number, and we'll go through them in a bit of detail in the next slides for those that may not be familiar. Some of our education and outreach programs that are not directly related to our core mandate, and then our conservation land securement program, which we've had with the municipalities for several years. So I guess first and foremost, there are no new programs being proposed. There's no significant increases that we're asking for beyond our regular annual levy direction from the board. This is really just papering over an agreement to continue providing these programs, some of which have been around for literally 3 decades. So I'll start with our tree planting program. So since 1990, when the program launched, we've planted 4 million trees. And we've averaged about 75,000 seedlings up until 2020. And in 2020, during the pandemic, surprisingly, we saw those numbers really increase. So I don't know if it was people being at home more and looking for projects around home, but we're now planting over 100,000 seedlings a year, and that's kind of been consistent over the last couple of years. This program is heavily subsidized through Forest Ontario and their 50 million tree program. But it doesn't cover 100% of the costs to plant the trees. To provide a full service program from a site visit with a landowner to a planting plan, all the way through to getting the trees in the ground and then doing survival assessments. So in order to do that, we do have a small levy component that supports the staffing to help deliver that program. Next is our Clean Water Program. This program has been around since 1993. It does provide cost share grants to landowners who are doing water quality improvement projects on their properties. Over those years, you can see in the graph the different types of projects that we've done. Most of our projects have been in the nutrient management category, but we have a good diversity of different types of programs that landowners can do, or best management practices they can implement on their properties. It's important to note that since 1993, over $13 million has been invested in these projects, and that's money that's spent locally. People are buying their materials and supplies locally. They're hiring local construction and professionals to help design their projects. So it really is an opportunity to return some investment into our local economy through these grants. We are oversubscribed every year. It is a lot more requests than available funding, so we do have a structure in place to evaluate and rate projects through our committees in order to ensure that we're getting the best bang for our buck for project support. So again, this one, the municipal levy does support the program in its entirety at the moment. Habitat restoration is work that we do with private landowners. So Eastern Ontario, there's over 80% of the land owned in private by private landowners. And if we were only going to focus our attention on the 20% that's publicly owned, or lands that we own ourselves, we wouldn't be able to affect change on a watershed scale. So it's really important that we have programs and services and staff available to help support landowners that want to take on projects on their own lands. We do this through external funding, so we're very good at what we do when it comes to fundraising. As you can see in the graph, we've raised over $1 million since 2018, and these are for different habitat restoration projects, grassland projects, wetland restoration, buffers on private lands. So it's more than triple the investment that we've put in as an authority of about $173,000. So again, these projects are done with external funding. The small portion of municipal levy that supports this work is tied to the staffing that it takes to find the grants, help landowners fill them out, help the landowners through the process of some of these complicated projects, and then help with reporting at the end. So again, a small portion of municipal levy supporting the staffing that helps these projects really be realized on the landscape.
Part of our education and outreach programs we do use municipal levy for, and that's in order to go out and fundraise, to bring in money that we can then use for school programming. So there's some support and admin fees that we need to support with levy. We also give out about $10,000 a year in community environmental grants. These are things such as community cleanup days, scout and school cleanups, edible classroom gardens, and so on. And they're assessed by our communications team on an ongoing basis. The final part of our Category 3 programming is conservation land securement. We currently own approximately 14,000 acres of primarily forested land, but also hazard lands as well that we purchase to prevent them from being built on and people becoming unsafe on. They provide a lot of environmental benefit. And we have a levy allotment of about $350,000 per year that is used to fund this program. Usually we're able to triple that by leveraging federal grants and tax benefits. And the last 2 years at least, we've been able to bring in approximately $1 million worth of land into the portfolio at a cost of a third of that to the municipalities. We work with willing landowners and property owners to either sell or donate and bring their land into the private trust and keep it there forever. Our land securement strategy is what funnels the and kind of guides the land securement program. As I mentioned before, it is primarily forested lands, but we do look for, sometimes there'll be pieces of marginal farmland attached to the forested lands that we can then reforest or do other projects such as the Healing Place, which is in Edwardsburg Cardinal. And that's provided huge community benefit to our residents.
So just a quick recap again for the private landowner stewardship and outreach. The municipal dollars are supporting mostly a small portion of our staffing contingent that really helps coordinate and deliver these programs, find the external funding, and help private landowners realize these projects on the ground. And it also covers the Clean Water Program grants and the community environmental grants that Carl mentioned. 2024, we're estimating approximately $173,000 to support all of these programs and services in this category, which is just under 4% of the total municipal levy. And then similarly for the land securement, this one has been a special levy to municipalities, so you would have seen it in the past as a separate levy column in our budget. The Act is now requiring us to roll it into Category 3, so this year it'll all be in one column for one total on the municipal levy. The amount includes predominantly the purchase of lands, but it also covers things like ancillary costs for legal, serving, things like that. 2024, we're estimating around $362,000, which is just over 8% of the total municipal levy.
And the picture there is about 20 acres of donated land in Iroquois, donated into the Land Trust in 2023.
So what does that look like for South Dundas in relation to our other member municipalities? These numbers are based on 2023 calculations, so they're not the exact numbers that you'll be seeing in our levy letter, but they're going to be close. So South Dundas pays about 2% of our total levy, the bulk of it being covered through the City of Ottawa. We're estimating 2024 levy to be in the neighborhood of $93,500. So what 12% of that looks like is just over $11,000, and that's what we're asking for in our agreement, is basically allowing us to set a cap for Category 3 programs at 12%. And then this way we don't have to keep coming back to you every year with a dollar value. This just allows us, once the levy is set, to know that we have up to 12% to put towards these programs and services. So what we have tonight before you and what's coming up in your agenda package is the draft agreement. We've went with a one agreement approach for all 16 municipalities. One, because it reflects the watershed-based approach, which is core to us. And two, we really want to reduce the administrative burden moving forward. We'd rather deal with one agreement than 16. So again, the agreement sets the maximum 12% per year for these Category 3 programs. The Act requires that we have a 5-year renewal clause in the agreement. We also have clauses for notices for any amendments or cancellation. So what we're proposing is a 5-year term with an automatic renewal after that 5-year review if everyone's satisfied. So basically we wouldn't have to come back and re-sign an agreement for 10 years if all parties are satisfied. So that's what we bring to you, and we're happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Well, thank you, Rhonda and Carl. Excellent. I'll open up to the council team for questions at this point. Councillor Smith.
All right, thank you, Mayor Broad. So I was just to verify, is the how much are we paying for 2023, and is the 2024 is the 12%, like we're looking at the numbers there, there's 93,000 and then the 11,200 whatever. Is that on top of the 93, or is that included in the 93?
No, that is the part of the 93 which would be directed towards Category 3.
Okay, so is the, no, we don't know yet, but is the, so this is the estimated 2024 levy. We don't, once we go through and do the budget, then that'll be finalized. How much up approximately is that from 23?
We're looking at, we're working right now on our budget to be approved by the board and then to come to councils. We're looking at a 2.5% COLA increase plus growth. So very sustainable, manageable growth amounts typical to what we've done in previous years. And that's what we're working towards.
Okay.
And these numbers assume that 2.5 plus growth.
Okay.
But they, like I said, they might not be exactly these numbers, but they should be pretty close. We need to update the assessment numbers, but they're almost identical.
Okay.
Councillor Ward.
Thank you. So thank you for your presentation. I guess I don't want to be the devil in the details here, but so let's say, for example, that one of the municipalities listed in your agreement decides not to go forward with Category 3. That would then increase the rest? Like, how would that work?
It could potentially. So it would really depend on how many wanted to not proceed and which program it is, because they all have different needs for municipal levies. We've been before 7.
And Ottawa just,
Yeah.
it just passed Ottawa Council today.
Okay.
So they approved it. The agreement's about to be signed. It just needs legal review there. So that's the biggest contributor.
Yeah, so we've had positive feedback. If at some point any of our larger municipal partners that aren't interested, we would have to revisit. But for the most part, all of our larger levy payers have either already passed or have indicated support for it. We just need to go before their councils to finalize it.
So if they did not, so let's say you went to a different municipality, would you then have to come back and ask us for more? Or how would that agreement change? Because it would be more than the 12% then, right?
It would depend on which municipality didn't say yes, because they're all paying a different portion.
Right.
If somebody at the bottom said no, it would have minimal impact on our actual delivery. We'd be able to adjust. If one of the upper ones that are paying a larger portion said no, then we might need to look at, can we still operate the program within the 12%? If we can't, then we would have to come back. But we're confident right now with what we've heard that we'll have agreement from everyone.
Okay, thank you.
So in the presentation, you mentioned about since 1990, you've planted over 4 million trees. We do get questions and comments to ourselves or through social media about tree canopy loss due to expansion of agricultural land. So with 4 million trees being planted in the CA, like that's significant. How many trees, do we know how much we've lost through that growth in the agricultural sector, or folks just removing trees at all? Understood. A seedling is this big and a 50-year-old tree is a lot bigger.
Right.
I understand that. I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that.
So our last round of data that we have is from 2014. We just are waiting for new data sets. So we did a LiDAR project, which was done with the last council, that gave us high resolution data. We're working in partnership with the Ontario Woodlot Association. They're creating forest index maps for us, which will help us update that forest cover layer. So right now, our data is only 2014, and we know there's been a lot of land use changes since 2014, but there's also forests that are growing that wouldn't have been captured by that 2014 data. So we don't know how much of a change has been there yet, but we are committed to updating that number as soon as we have the data sets available to be able to compare. So probably not this year, but we're hoping in 2024 we can release an updated forest cover numbers for municipalities. I don't remember South Dundas off the top of my
Sure.
head. That's what
No,
I didn't think to look up, but we have data from 2014 available.
Sure, I would be really interested in the updated data when they come. So,
Yes.
Councillor Smith, who sits on the CA, I'm sure once that's available, bring it back and we can discuss it. Because I'd love to share with our residents to see
Yes.
how the whole authority looks, and then obviously South Dundas in general as comments. So, with that being said, one of the authority's areas that's advertised and used by residents is the Two Creeks Forest Walking and Hiking Trail, and it seems to have created lots of comments in the last year or two about the changes because of land use in the area. Any specific plans and comments you can make about that in our municipality?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I came prepared. So, Two Creeks Conservation Area is our largest property with active trails on there, and it's our largest trail network. To give you an idea of this, the issues there, we've had changes in water level over the last few years that have caused a lot of trees to die. related to land use in the surrounding areas, which has pushed the water level up. It's flooded the trails during non-winter months. We've also had a large-scale impact from the emerald ash borer, which has killed a lot of the ash trees there. There are probably 5 times as many trees to take care of there that are hazardous as our next nearest sized conservation area. So we've tackled some of the smaller, higher use conservation areas first that have been within our budget, and now we actually applied for some grants to take on the task that is there, federal grants that we haven't heard back from yet. And to give you an idea of the budget sums that we were looking at, we were climbing up towards $1 million to take care of the number of trees that need to be taken care of. It's a complicated site. It's a former Domtar biosolid site, so it needs to be handled carefully. It's not something you can go in and just start excavating without the necessary plans and permits. So complicated site, makes it expensive. We've applied for grants. We are committed to opening some winter recreation again this winter. It won't be the full trail network, unfortunately, because that would require significant investment, but we do have teams going there over the next couple of months to start to chip away at opening at least some of the trail network, and we'll keep you posted through our board representative at SNC.
Yeah, I would really like to see documented some plans in the out years of what we can accomplish,
Yep.
and then understood that obviously funding, if we get more funding, then more work could happen, less funding, less work, but I think it's really important that there's a plan. It's really important to our residents. And,
there is absolutely a plan. Unfortunately, it was costed at close to $1
All
million. So we're working on Plan B, which is to be able to do it on our staff time.
Excellent. I just wanted to make that's really important to us. So
Absolutely.
thank you for that, and thank you for knowing that we might ask about it.
Yeah, I think about it all the time. We take enormous pride in our properties and our conservation areas. So we'll do our best to that conservation area.
And one thing I'll just add on, like if part of the trails aren't usable, maybe some more signage might be needed to say that and direct people in the right areas, because I do see that folks come out at the road because they got lost. Anyways, I'll leave that in your hands, and Councillor Smith can follow up with that. Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Mayor Broad, and again, thank you for the presentation. But just to add on to what Councillor Ward was asking, so if there was a municipality or 2 or 3 who didn't sign the agreement, I just take an example on your 100,000 seedlings a year approximately. You have a program that's throughout all of the municipalities that are contributing to this program. If there's 2 or 3 that do not, I'm just hypothetically speaking, does that mean that you would reduce the amount of trees, or would you try to keep the same amount of trees but spread them out throughout the municipalities that are in the agreement? Or if there are 2 or 3 municipalities not signing the agreement, is it still spread out amongst their municipalities as well?
For the tree planting program, we do have a fee schedule, so landowners aren't receiving trees for free. One option we could have is that for municipalities that are supporting the program, there's the fee set already. If we felt it was wise to continue delivering in ones that we didn't have municipal funding coming from, then our option would either be finding external funding or raising our landowner fees. So we would be trying to work within what we have, and I think, again, it would depend on which municipality and how much. We do have the ability to increase the recovery through fees. Right now, we've raised them in the last couple of years, trying to bring down our municipal levy asks through this program in preparation for coming to you tonight. So our fees did increase significantly between 2022 and 2023 to have landowners invest more in their projects. So that is always an avenue we can take if we need to for that program. There are other programs, for example, like Clean Water, which are right now 100% levy. Those ones we would have to look at pulling back on grants, and maybe eligibility would only be to the participating municipalities. So it really depends on the program and how much of a financial impact one municipality or more pulling out would have on that program. So it's difficult to say broadly. We would have to adjust based on each individual program and the circumstances.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I appreciate that answer. I guess just for me, and this is more for our council and for staff, I mean, I just don't like entering into agreement without really understanding or knowing that either we're all in or the costs are going to go up or whatever. For me, I think what we should do before we pass any type of bylaw is get a confirmation that what the actual costs are. Are there all the municipalities on board before we enter an agreement? That'd be my only kind of caveat to this.
Could I just take a minute?
Absolutely. If
I've
you
got
wanna
tremendous
correct me or-
confidence from what I've heard from our partners. If anyone, it will be a smaller municipality, maybe $100 or $1,000 from the program, and we will just readjust and keep offering, and you won't notice. I don't see an extra financial request coming back to you. This is a request for a percentage of our existing levy, and that levy will be taken through the board process, through our regular budget process, and we expect it to be a very sustainable increase as we've seen in previous years. So I don't expect to come back asking for anything different for Category 3 programming. We'd also, we kind of threw this forwards as the province was trying to break apart certain conservation authorities and make it possible for municipalities to pick and choose. And that's not really the reason why conservation authorities were founded. It was, we're in this together. We're all part of the same watershed. We're either upstream or downstream of each other, and we need to be all in. Mm-hmm. And we did this on purpose as one joint agreement because we wanted to kind of reinforce that we are all in this together, and we've had overwhelming support for that way of looking at it, especially once we once we indicated strongly that the bigger partners were all in.
Okay. It still doesn't, there's still a risk, right? There's still a risk, and I don't think it's a big risk, but there's still a risk. And I guess for me, I'm just all about just wanting to know exactly what we're getting into and the costs that we're going to be, our taxpayers and municipalities going to be facing moving forward. That's all. But what you're saying is it's very little risk.
Yeah, it's 12% of your existing levy. Mm-hmm. The existing levy will be agreed upon over the next couple of months by our board. So 12% of whatever is approved by the board of directors, mm-hmm. which you have representation on.
Okay.
Any,
No.
all right, well, thank you, Rhonda, Carl, and guest Cindy from the Conservation Authority. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. That was excellent.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move into action request 6A, bylaw amendment 2020-76, stop and yield signs. Director of Roads, Jeff Hyman is with us. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So in front of you is our stop sign and our yield sign bylaw. There was presently, the location that we're referring to is the intersection of 5th and Fairholme at our west end of 5th Street. So presently there is a yield sign there at that intersection controlling that T intersection. So the municipality has received communication from concerned residents requesting the installation of a stop sign at the intersection as there's children playing in that area, and they have witnessed several near misses for collisions at that intersection. Staff's recommending that the yield sign be changed to a stop sign as it will allow traffic traveling north-south on Fairholme Drive to have the right-of-way, which is the way it should be, whether they're yield sign or a stop sign at that location. This should also control the flow of traffic and will ensure vehicles traveling west on 5th Street come to a stop before turning north or south on Fairholme Drive. Just to add to the request, we do have stop signs in stock. And if council chooses to switch the yield sign to a stop sign, we also have the oversized stop ahead or new stop ahead signs in stock that need to be placed for 30 days at that location just to allow travelers the upfront knowledge that the sign has been changed. It's very noticeable. So in your package, you'll see the old bylaw for the stop sign and the new amended stop sign with it identified in yellow. So I can answer any questions which you have at this time.
Any Councillor Smith.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Broad. The only question that I had was, why was this a yield sign? Should this not always have been a stop sign? Like, why is it a yield sign?
Through you, Mayor Broad, I don't have the answer for that. When I came on board in 2016, it was like that.
Yeah.
We definitely do need to do a review of all locations that have yield signs. Some are warranted, maybe some are more heavily trafficked, that should maybe potentially be a stop sign, but that definitely is an activity that should be followed through.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes,
And,
Councillor.
yeah, follow up. Am I correct that, is there more children walking now? Because is there not access from Fairholme now to there's a new park that got redone on Coyle, is Coyle right behind it? Stewart. There's a park,
There is a park on Stewart.
did we just redo that park not long ago?
It's been there for a while, but we just did install a new swing set.
Yeah, so
There's no new
I'm just,
swing set.
is the children pedestrian traffic up because of that? Like, there's a walking path there.
There is a walking
Yeah.
path, but the walking path is kind of in the middle of Landhurst and Fifth.
It's down further.
So they
Okay.
can go either way.
Either way, just curious. It should be
Yeah.
a stop sign anyway. I was just curious.
Councillor Ward.
So I have no problem with your request. I just had a question. So when someone submits a request for a stop sign, let's say they, petition the neighborhood, they decide on a stop sign. Is there a process that we have in place, like a procedure, or is that what you were kind of referring to, that you want to work on developing like a process for residents to kind of, petition, get the information, then you do the traffic study and determine if it should be four-way stop, just as regular stop sign, yield sign, et cetera?
Well, there's lots of avenues that we can go. I was more referring to just myself driving around and reviewing the said locations that are presently a yield sign. And yes, based on traffic flows and whatnot, doesn't warrant a stop sign, or is a yield sign suffice? But as far as the petitioning, with this said case, there was not a petition. It was just a correspondence letter sent in by a resident in South Dundas.
No, okay, I just wanted to know if we had a problem. Thank you.
Yeah, no, good question. Okay, so any other comments? Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate following up on that, taking a look. I did drive down that street both ways, and lots of new shrubbery has grown, and there's blind spots, so I think this is a good choice to make. I have a motion that the Council of South Dundas amend bylaw 2020-76, a bylaw to provide a stop sign and yield both right-of-ways as set out by amended Schedule A and B in the attached bylaw. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. Action item 6B, Ruben Matthijs, Glenbecker, Van Morsel Municipal Drain. Drain Superintendent Chris St. Thomas with us tonight.
Yeah,
Welcome,
good evening,
Chris.
everybody. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So what we're looking for here is to appoint an engineer to do a Section 76, which is a update of the assessment schedule for the 3 named drains that we have on here. Normally, a Section 76 is done for only the assessment schedule. In this case, we're also going to do the watershed boundary. This is a watershed within a watershed, and we found that there was inequities in the 2 reports, which there should not be. So we're going to take care of the assessment schedule and the watershed boundary at the same time.
Questions, comments? Councillor Ward?
Is this being paid, sorry, through you, Mayor, is this going to be paid by the people requesting the severance? Because it probably wouldn't have come up otherwise, correct?
No, it's going to be a typical 76 where
So
it
you're
will be
saying
billed
that-
to the whole watershed of each of the 3 drains.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Director St. Thomas, Councillor Smith.
Is there any drain maintenance being performed on those ones right now? I
Yes,
can't
the
remember.
Ruben Matthijs drain.
Yep,
We started maintenance 2 years ago.
okay.
We ran out of time last year, so it's
Okay.
going to continue this year.
Okay, so it's active, it's, okay.
Yeah, so
okay,
in-
okay.
hopefully the Section 76 will be done prior to maintenance being finished,
Okay,
and we can
okay.
use the new assessment schedule
Yeah,
for
okay.
billing.
Okay. Yep.
All right, seeing no other comments, questions? I have a motion that council appoint Monica Shade, VP of Engineering and Sales of Shade Group, as the engineer to prepare a new assessment schedule and update the watershed boundaries for the Ruben Matthijs, Glenbecker, Van Morsel municipal drains under Section 76 of the Drainage Act. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Chris. And moving to 6C, PF 2023-17, Morrisburg Arena Zamboni advertisement. Director of Parks, Recreation and Facilities, David Jansen.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So for this one, we'll go back to the procurement of the Zamboni, which we did earlier this year. As you'll remember in that discussion, we were expecting the Zamboni to arrive in January, as I think almost everybody has seen already. The Zamboni did arrive a little earlier than expected. During that discussion, we did talk about moving away from the traditional advertisements that we had on before and moving to a wrap. So staff went ahead and put out this tender in the month of September. We got 5 bids back from some local companies to wrap the Zamboni. At the end of the day, most of the bids, actually all of the bids are coming back at a higher revenue than we had in the old model, so it's great for us. Other than that, staff are recommending that we go ahead with the highest amount bid, which was from the dairy producers. It will result in, it's $3,000 a year. At the end of the day, they did have the shortest term. The tender is written that they'll have the right of first refusal in the next tender. So for anybody wondering, that basically means after the 3 years, we'll go back out for tender. The dairy producers won't have to bid on that tender. They'll get the option to match the highest bid at that time. So that's how that's set up within the documents. So that just keeps it fair for everybody. And so hopefully after their term, they can say it wasn't great for us and move on, and we can retender it, or they can wait and one of the lower bids here might see their bid and say we want to one-up them, and they'll have the option to match it. So it's great for us there. Other than that, staff are excited about the new partnership with dairy producers, hopefully, and I know staff have already, we don't know what their design is going to be, but they've already started to name it the Cowboni, so no pressure on the dairy producers. The only thing I will say, and staff will have the discussion with the bidders, I'd say we're going to recommend that they probably don't put it on this year. It will probably start next year. We weren't expecting to get the Zamboni this year. The logistics of getting it wrapped during the middle of the season might not be perfect, and then they might end up with a half season instead of a full season. So we'll work with them afterwards and see where it ends up and how much of a hurry they're in, and the logistics work for us. But once they're approved, we'll get into that negotiation. But just for the public listening or out there today who are excited to see the Zamboni get wrapped, it might not happen this year. But other than that,
Excellent.
if council has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, that makes sense. They can come up with their design, and we can do measurements and et cetera, and prepare to get it done through your negotiations. Comments or questions? Deputy Mayor?
For you, Mayor Broad, not really a question on this report, because I'm okay with it. I guess my next question is what's our next step? What's our next advertisement? Are we going to put out some full door, change room doors? I've seen that in other rinks, other arenas. I mean, I'd like to see us full advertisement wherever we can, so I'm just
So I'll say
Open to you for
through you, Mr. Mayor.
suggestions.
So the new one that we just implemented this year in our rate update was sponsored ice times. And if you've seen some of our advertisements, they just went out. We haven't, I'm gonna probably, Emily and I will probably push on the people who didn't win this bid to sponsor some ice time. We're setting it at a 4-week minimum. It's a reduced rate, but you can come in and, let's say David Jansen Incorporated wants to sponsor public skating every Saturday in the month of October. You pay us the rate that we set in there, which is lower than regular rate, and then public ice, the public skating on Saturday is brought to you by David Jansen Incorporated. So that's the one we're trying to work in right now. So I'd love to see some businesses out there. It's a great way to give back to the arena, but you also get the ownership of giving back to the entire community in those 4 weeks that you paid for public skating. So that's our new avenue that we've been working on this year.
Yeah, I think that's a great incentive. Like I said, I've seen a couple arenas that had the change rooms.
Yeah.
Looked like a wrap. I'd love to see us push for that as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's possible. You can think your way through that one a little bit, and maybe it doesn't happen next year, or maybe it happens for January, half a season, but I'd like to see us make full
Yeah, oh, for sure.
full exposure for sure.
Councillor Smith?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Another thing that I noticed, some of the wall advertising, there's some spots open.
Already
now.
sold.
They're already sold?
We 2 dropped this year and 2 fill right back in.
Oh, okay. Because they're not up yet. I was just curious if they're all spoken for? Okay. Okay, just curious.
Everybody's excited about advertising. So this is good. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, good question. Yeah.
So the dairy producers, they are paying for the wrap? Yeah. We're not, okay, all right. Okay.
Excellent. So I have a motion. The council approve report PF 2023-17 to award PRF 23-16 Morrisburg Arena Zamboni advertisement to Dundas County dairy producers for a term of 3 years at $3,000 plus HST totaling $9,000. And the cost of the wrap is at their expense, and that the Director of Parks and Recreation Facilities be authorized to sign all necessary documents to give effect to that contract. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. Okay, under 7A bylaws, so 2023-77 South Nation Conservation Agreement, Clerk LeBrun.
Yes, and thank you through you, Mayor Broad. So before you is the agreement that Carl and Rhonda just spoke to you about. So the agreement is a 5-year agreement starting January 1st, 2024 through to December 31st. And it's subject to a 5-year review. I won't get into the details because I think Carl and Rhonda did a great job explaining the content of the agreement. But if you have any questions at this time.
So, through you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mills.
Just to follow up on Clerk LeBrun's report, along with what Carl and Rhonda had to present to you. We started the discussions with South Nation in July. They sent the information out to us. We reviewed it, then we followed up again with a virtual meeting and went through it for an hour. The other thing that I wanted to let council know is that it was a group email too, so we got the email with the explanation along with every other CAO and clerk to review. We haven't heard anything from any. Usually when something comes out that would be either contentious or it's going to cost a lot more money or there was dissension, we typically between municipalities would hear about it. That wasn't the case. And then, Carl backed that up by saying, so I understand what the concern is from council about, is there a risk? There's always a risk. This is a very minimal risk. I guess I could, I don't know if I'm supposed to be the ones asking the questions, but Councillor Smith, you attend the board meetings. I don't know if there's been any discussion there, or if this was contentious or we were very worried about, we would have came to you as a representative. So that's the background on our end. We'll certainly follow up with other municipalities, but we're pretty confident we know what the answer is going to be, which is similar to ours.
Sorry, Deputy Mayor, and I'll just add to that, in the agreement, it's the schedule of what our levy is, not a dollar amount. So really, it's the budgeting process that's the key for that every year, which we're relying on Councillor Smith to ensure that. But obviously, to your point, if some people don't sign up, it could change a little bit, but I feel confident at this point, just because it's at the levy point.
If I could just further through Mr. Mayor, then when we asked the question about what they were considering for their budget increase, it was pretty reasonable.
Right. Okay. Deputy Mayor?
Through you, Mayor Broad. I really appreciate that added information. It gives me a better comfort level. Not that I did not have a comfort level with Carl's presentation or anything, but, it's me, it's me. I don't like the unknowns. But it's very little risk, and getting that backup really helps. So I really, really appreciate the presentation, and I really appreciate the input as well. So thank you. Thank you.
Good. Any other comments, questions? Okay, I have a motion that bylaw number 2023-77 being a bylaw to enter into a cost apportioning agreement with South Nation River Conservation Authority. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. 7B, 2023-78, amend policy 212, customer service standards. Clerk LeBrun.
Thank you, Mayor Broad. So before you tonight, Council, is an update or amendment to our customer service standards policy. This policy was established in 2019, and the purpose of the policy was to establish customer service procedures for services provided by the municipality. So staff have revised the policy and amended it for the purpose of expanding the scope of the policy and to recognize other methods. As we know, a lot has changed since 2019. I think customer expectations have changed. So what we did is we just broadened the policy so that we can continue to deliver top quality customer service in all aspects of the workplace. So some of the changes, and albeit they are, I guess, minor in nature, but I think they encompass a lot more of what we deal with on the day-to-day. So, some of the changes that we made are we expanded on in-person communication, telephone correspondence, email correspondence, social media, how to request to speak to make a request to speak to council, and of unreasonable customer behavior as well. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. The policy's before you, and yeah, open to discussion or any comments.
Thank you, Clerk LeBrun. I do have one question. Apologize for not ahead of time. In our budget process, we did approve a new phone system, because I know obviously our messaging and our phone greetings is part of this policy, and we had discussed about upgrading the phone service. I know it's not done yet. Just an update on that at this time, would that be appropriate?
So, yes, through you, Mayor Broad, we will likely only be able to start that in the new year.
Okay.
With the county's projects that they have, we discussed the timing of it, and we feel that January is a better start, so we're hoping in budget that we would just roll that over for 2024, but it is definitely needed. An upgrade is needed, and
Right, and I ask out of concern that if the phone systems don't always work perfectly,
Correct.
then that creates issues that's not at the fault of the person
Absolutely.
calling or the person receiving. So having an updated phone system, and I know for the folks that work here, say, phones drop off, calls drop off, et cetera. So I just wanted to ask that question at that time. Questions, comments at this time? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Brown. I just have just one quick one. I think it might be a clerical, but I'm not sure. On your item 5, telephone / voicemail IB, your second sentence, it says, may not always provide a complete resolution and staff should, will, shall acknowledgement. I'm just wondering if do we pick one?
It's
I thought so. Again, to your point, Mayor Brown, I apologize for not giving you a dingle earlier, and just I'm just assuming. I mean, this is the basis of really what staff is going to do. I'm assuming you guys are still going to go through and make sure it's clerical stuff and whatnot is all taken care of,
Yes.
and it's all buttoned up. And for me, the biggest thing for staff is always response time. It's always response time. People want to hear back as quick as possible. I know it's sometimes that's difficult, but I think we do a pretty good job at that. So just
Thank you.
it's good.
Councillor Smith?
The only thing that I wanted to add to that, to this whole thing, I read through everything, looks great in what's presented here. Quite often, as council, we get emails addressed to all 5 of us, and I just wanted, if there's any way that we can just let the general public know that anytime that we get an email sent addressed to all 5 of us, that the unwritten rule is that we wait for the mayor to respond. And so I don't, not everybody knows that, or is there any way that we can get that out just to the general public that just basically like the person at the top of the email chain is the one who's going to respond. So you don't always get a response from 5 different people for one question. You may just get a response from the mayor only. If there's just any way we can get that out to the general public, that's the only comment that I had on this whole thing.
Yeah, I think Councillor Smith, you make a great point. I know we kind of had side conversations about that exact thing, and
Yeah.
when you're in the 2 box or the CC box, and if we all commenting, we shouldn't be, because now we're driving
Yeah.
business ahead when we're not allowed to. So we appreciate the emails from a resident constituent to us, and yes, and we need to have the best strategy forward on that, and maybe we can at a training session or a closed session, we can just figure out the exact response, because often what I do is I would just reach out to the CAO or the clerk right away on that, and then start to get some details. So yeah, I think you're right,
Yeah.
Councillor Smith. We need to make sure that we're included in the Customer Service Act, and maybe we create another line that how we act on that. So maybe we could table that for a further discussion. But in the interim, please for our residents, typically, if it's to all of us, then I'll try and answer, or have the CIO answer as soon as possible. So that's a good comment. Thank you for that. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, I have a motion that Council of South Dundas approve and amend the Customer Service Policy 2-12 as presented, with the amendments to as stipulated by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Okay, boards and committees. So we had a few committee meetings since our last council meeting. Any updates, Deputy Mayor, on the Community Improvement Program meeting you'd like to share?
Yeah, we had a meeting about a week or so ago. It was a second intake to the applications. It was announced at the breakfast last week that Imard Brothers Lumber was granted some funds. Clerk LeBrun, I believe, if memory serves me correct, it was $4,000 that they were.
Yeah.
Yes. I can confirm it was I
Good.
believe it was $4,000.
Excellent.
She's going to give me a nod, though.
Tia confirmed it.
Pia confirmed it, so
Yeah,
there you go. So yeah, so other than that, I think again it was successful. I hope next year we can get the advertisement, get the applications, get everything rolling really early, and hopefully we'll get some additional businesses applying for some grants and/or loans.
Excellent. Thank you, WR.
Thank you.
8C, Morrisburg BIA meeting, which was last night. Councillor Vino.
Unfortunately on the road,
CO.
so the clerk LeBrun was there in attendance.
Yeah, I'm happy, through you, Mayor Broad, I'm happy to give an update through the BIA. So some of the items that were discussed, the President gave his overview in his report. There was a financial report. There was an update on the Riverstone project for the islands at the Morrisburg Plaza. There was some discussions about the clock tower. I believe the BIA might be bringing some requests through to start considering what they want to do, or the municipality would like to do with the clock tower. They're working on their budget for the upcoming events. They're getting everything prepared for the December 20th deadline for the grants and donations requests. They talked about future Christmas events, some fall decorating projects, and then we had a first draft of the MOU that we were able to present and get feedback and comments back from the BIA. So that's ongoing. It's a work in progress, but we're making good headway, and the next step for that would be staff to review the MOU and make sure we're capturing everything that we need to, and eventually it will come to council for review, and that was essentially the Coles notes from the BIA.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Clerk LeBrun. And great pun. 8D Dundas Archive meeting, which was this morning, which I attended. We had some updates on some outstanding activities, updates, that is, and we've added some content to the website. So North Dundas, South Dundas websites all refer to the archive, so we continue to update the websites. We've purchased a new photocopy, well, new to us, photocopier for the archive, so we're able to photocopy items for purchase for folks getting information from the archives. Conversations around additional space and shelving continue. We also had the archivist report, which is very detailed on the activities that Susan Peters has done. And we continue to look for funding for digitalization of some of our outstanding newspapers, a couple that we'd like to see, and we may talk further to this. The Williamsburg Times, we have the 1932 to 1938 full run that we'd like to get digitalized. And the Morrisburg Leaders, just by chance on how we received all of them, we have not scanned in yet digitally all the years ending in 1 and 2 yet. So those are a couple of projects we'll be looking at. And we started our first budget considerations as both North and South Dundas are going to do budgeting in December. So we'll have that available for our budget in December, so know where we stand on that. So that was an update for the archives. I did also have a library meeting in Chrysler last week. So expect to see a delegation from council from the SDG libraries. So Stephanie Luck, the new director, plans to come and share all the activities that's going on in the libraries, like I usually do every council meeting. But we also are getting ready for SDG Reads. It's our last few weeks as Maureen Jennings is joining us on October 23rd. We're having a volunteer celebration night in Avonmore in November. We continue to get the results of all the pop-up events. So the library has a tent and a table that they'll go around to fairs or events. They were at here in Morrisburg at All About the River event, and they sign up folks for library cards and talk to people about the library, so that's been quite successful. And we also have a brand new website for the library, so it's been redone. The old programming had lost its licensing, so we converted into a new website. So lots of good things happening at the library board. I think that's it for boards and committees. Okay, excellent. 9A, consent agenda. We received the corporate services September statistics. We received the budget dates. We also received the fire and emergency service statistics, building and bylaw September statistics. We had a letter of town Midland catch and release, and 3 resolutions, one from the Perry Sound short-term rental, City of Cambridge declaring intimate partner violence an epidemic, and lastly, Town of Wasaga Beach illegal car rally provincial task force. So those were the consent agenda items. I have a motion here that all the items listed on the consent agenda section of the agenda be adopted as presented. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Okay, discussion items. So 2 questions for Clerk Brunn. So in previous meetings, we have asked for a notice of motions. So I'd like an update on the Morrisburg Iroquois Shopping Center study, where we wanted to look at canopy, sidewalk, paving, and infrastructure underneath, where we might be at the completion of that study.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So before I give an update, I just want to thank Directors Jansen and Managers Heineman and Villeneuve for all the work they do on behalf of the businesses and the people who frequent the mall. There's a lot of work and maintenance and repairs and reaction and proaction that's going on with our staff. So I want to thank them. I know a few of them are here. So we're working together. I'm working with directors and managers responsible for water and wastewater, roads and facilities, and we'll have a comprehensive update for council at the end of November in time for budget deliberations. Just to add to that, I was at the BIA meeting last night as well, and there were questions. One that came from the floor from a visitor about what they get for their dues, and then on one side, maybe some of the businesses get more than the other. That's not really something we can control as a municipality, but what we can control is the waterworks that are underneath, which we understand are aging, and the parking lot and the sidewalks and the facade. We'll have a start of a comprehensive plan for you to deliberate at the end of November.
Excellent, thank you. And one second one, quick will run, remuneration bylaw, is that on a future agenda?
Yes, Mayor Broad, you'll see that on the October 30th agenda.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, any other discussion items at this point? Seeing none, notice of motions? Okay, seeing none. Ratification bylaw, the bylaw 2023-79 being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, or ratify matters dealt with, resolution be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. And I have a motion that council now adjourn to meet again at the call of the chair. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. Carried. So as we conclude the council meeting with his team for South Dundas for October 11th, I have a couple things I want to follow up on. One is in the municipality, we do not have landfill or waste collection areas every day throughout like we used to. Any yard waste needs to go to the landfill site and not be dumped anywhere in the municipality. We do have, and you can check our website, days in October in Iroquois and Morrisburg, the villages themselves where you can take your landfill. The building on our drive here in Morrisburg or the old landfill site is not to be used. So please take it to the landfill. It's not fair to the property owners for you to leave your waste not at an appropriate place. So saying that, I'd like to thank the whole South Dundas team, especially the crews working at the Morrisburg Arena to restore the sewer line. Also, we hosted within the municipality at the Matilda Recreation Center the annual pig roast, which was excellent. Some of us participated in Kara's ribbon cutting as they reopened after their fire and reconstruction of 1 year. We celebrated at the Awards of Excellence last week. So congratulations to Lloyd McMillan Equipment for Business of the Year, Arla Castleman Vino for Builder of the Year, Ross Video as Innovation Award, Tourism Award went to Diane Sullivan, the Young Professional, Ethan Hamilton, who you'll see lots coming up at Air Cadets events on Remembrance Day as he'll be laying reefs throughout the municipality. Our Agricultural Leadership Award went to Smith's Orchard. New Business Award was MacArthur Muscle Restoration and Performance. I'd like to thank everybody that attended that day, our MC Jeff Pops, organizers Rob Hunter, Sean O'Neill, Crystal LeBrun, also obviously the Economic and Committee members that selected those winners. Last week we also recognized Truth and Reconciliation Day on Thursday. So proud that we were able to have Chief Abram Benedict here along as Teresa Bearfox for the event, and the Deputy Mayor, myself, Councillor Smith, Ward and Fraser, the classes of grade 5 Morrisburg Public School, grade 7, 8 St. Mary, St. Cecilia, so thank you for that. Rideau St. Lawrence and South Dundas hosted a celebration event for John Allison as his at the Rideau St. Lawrence event with staff and the board members last week, so that was nice. And lastly, South Dundas Fire Emergency Services held an open house last week, so thank you for the firefighters that participated in that open house. It was a great event. So I'd like to say thanks to the staff, the council team, everybody that's prepared tonight's agenda. I'd also like to thank everybody who either watched us live or watched us or watches us as a recording. So thank you very much. So I'd like to say everyone in South Dundas, this team